If you've ever been abandoned in your life, you can spend the rest of your life self abandoning so you can prove that you're worthy of love and belonging. But honestly, that's actually not love, it's survival. Let's talk about why this happens and how to stop it. I'm Nina Vasquez, and I am a trauma informed life coach and a recovering people pleaser. And the way I discovered this was in my 40s. I woke up during a spiritual awakening and I realized that I had spent my whole life trying to please other people and I was abandoning myself in every single way. What is self abandonment? So, you're going to hear me today talk about self abandonment and people pleasing, and they are the same thing. Self abandonment is shape shifting, becoming who you think other people want you to be, doing the things you think they want you to do, and it happens very unconsciously. This is not something that we consciously know. It's a subconscious nervous system response. It's also called fawning. And our nervous system believes it would be safer to prioritize other people's feelings, wants, and emotions over our own. Most people pleasers are self abandoners with unhealed trauma. Let's talk about the anatomy of people pleasing. Somebody does something, or they don't do something, or they say something, and then you have a nervous system response. You feel nervous, you feel anxious, and you have thoughts like, what if they don't like me? Or what if they think I'm selfish? Or, something similar to that. And then what happens is what you think they want you to do. Sometimes it's like a split second that this happens. You don't even know you're doing it till after the fact. Sometimes you'll also over explain yourself. You'll over explain because you want them to like you or you want them to love you. You don't want to be rejected. You don't want to be abandoned. All of this is unconscious. Remember that it's unconscious. And you must know that you weren't born a people pleaser. Some people think it's their personality, but the truth is it's a survival pattern. You weren't born with it. You learned the pattern. And now you have an unconscious nervous system pattern that is keeping you from honoring your truth. And one of the biggest side effects of being a people pleaser or self-abandoner your whole life is you don't know what the hell you like. You don't know what you like because you've always been behaving and looking for ways to please other people so you can stay safe. Most people think people pleasers are concerned with pleasing other people and wanting them to feel a certain way. But the truth is, there's another layer deeper. It's, can I perform like you want me to so I can keep myself safe, so I can gain love and acceptance? This often gets developed in childhood. I'm going to give you some examples from my own life. My dad, he was a disciplinary. He parented out of fear. When I showed up like a good girl, then I got love and acceptance. If I didn't follow the rules or I didn't show up like he wanted me to, then he would withhold love. So the way that I got love and acceptance was to be a good girl, meaning I just keep my mouth shut and don't have any opinions, and kids need to be seen and not heard. And if I could do that, then I could get love and acceptance. Another way, and I think truly this is where my people pleaser pattern developed in childhood, was I was really young, maybe around 4 or 5 years old. And my mother was in and out. She was an in and out mother, and she didn't always do what she said she was going to do. So she would leave and say she was coming back, and she didn't come back. And so I believe that I need to keep my mouth shut and not tell mom what's going on with me. So that way she still loves me and I'm not bothersome to her. And that maybe if I'm a good girl and I do what I think she wants me to do, which is keep my mouth shut, then she'll come back and she'll love me again. So I want you to think about your life. When did you have to become a people pleaser to gain love and acceptance? Sometimes it's like in grade school where maybe you're a little different than some people and you realize, I want to fit in here, so I'm going to try to be what they are. This also goes back to a little bit further back in childhood where attachment is formed. And we're going to talk a little bit about attachments when I talk about the nervous system in a minute, but let's talk about how to stop doing it, how to stop self-abandoning yourself. So number one, you got to start noticing. So I want you to get a journal, like any journal, grab a journal. And I just want you to start after you behave a certain way. I just want you to write down, I said yes when I wanted to say no. Maybe I paid for a meal, but I didn't want to. Or I said, yes, I would help, but I really didn't want to. What were you afraid of? You want to really introspect and ask yourself, what was I afraid would happen? Was I afraid they wouldn't like me or I couldn't be a part of that friend group if I honored my truth? And then in the same journal, I want you to write down what your truth was. I really didn't want to do that. Or I really didn't want to eat pizza for the fifth time. I really wanted grilled chicken or something. It could be that simple. Or I didn't want to tell my husband how I felt because I don't want him to leave me. Like, really write your truth down, because that is going to help you you have to become aware first before you can change anything. You're also going to discover what you were feeling. Was it anxiety? Was it fear? Were you completely shut down? And before you even knew it, something came out of your mouth? Did you freeze? You're really wanting to get a really good understanding of what happens in your nervous system, in your body. And if you don't feel very connected to your body and your nervous system, I want you to download my 5 somatic tools that I have in the description box below. This is going to really help you connect to your body. There's no way around healing the people-pleasing survival pattern than by facing your nervous system. You have to face that you have a nervous system, and that's where the pattern lies. It's a subconscious nervous system survival pattern. Number 2, you got to start getting to know your desires. If nobody had an opinion, what do I want right now? You need to start asking yourself that question. What do I desire? What do I want? It could be as simple as, what do I want to wear today? What would I wear if I didn't care about other people's opinions? What do I want to eat for dinner tonight? Could be a simple question. If I didn't care what anybody else thought, what would I want to eat? I'm not saying that you make your kids eat what you want to eat, but why not tell yourself the truth? Oh, I really want a salad. I really want this delicious salmon. I really want this lentil salad. Whatever it is for you, tell yourself the truth. What is it that you want? You can even do this with music. What do I like to listen to? Really get in touch with what your desires are and what you like. And if this feels uncomfortable, trust me, when I first started this journey, I didn't know what I wanted. I was never asked as a kid, what do you want? What do you want to do? What do you want to eat? Where do you want to go? What do you want in life? Never. I was never asked that. So if you were raised like me, you might feel a little uncomfortable in your body to ask yourself, what do you want? And you might be confused. You might be like, I have no idea what I want. Let yourself land there. It's okay if you don't know what you want. What is so beautiful about being lost is that you can be found and you can find out what it is you like. So if you have no idea what your desires are and you've only been focused on what other people and who other people want you to be, you can play around with finding out what you don't like. And one way that you can figure this out is, if you haven't ever heard of human design, look it up. There's a not self theme, and that theme shows you when you're not being yourself, when you're not in alignment with yourself. And for me, it's anger. Some people's not self theme is frustration or resentment. So if you ever feel resentment towards somebody, or frustration or anger, you want to check in and say, am I not honoring my truth here? What is my truth here? Because resentment's usually we're doing something we really don't want to do that we think other people think we should do, right? So check in there. Number 3, this one is a doozy. Let me tell you what it is. You want to identify your self-abandoning parts. I want you to think of yourself as 2 S's, a higher self, big S, and a little s. The little self is your wounded self. The little self is the wounded part of you who was abandoned in some way. It might have been from parents, it might have been from grade school children, left out, bullied. It could be so many different things. And if you're really struggling with figuring out when that happened for you, you can check out my Core Beliefs is Running Your Life video right here to help you figure out, when did I feel this way? When did I decide that I couldn't be myself? That video will help you. But what you want to do is you want to start writing down every single way that your little self is abandoning the highest self, okay? Because your highest self wants to be his or herself. But the little self is like, no, no, don't be yourself, because I need love and acceptance and belonging. And I'm going to die without it, right? Here's why we're going to do this, is because your life outside is a reflection of your life inside. So I want you to make a list of everything you say you're going to do, but you abandon yourself in. So maybe you have a budget and you want to stick to your budget and you overshop, or you have a health goal and you eat against your will, Or you say you're going to go to the gym, but you never go. Or you say you're going to pay your bill on time, but you don't. I want you to write a list. And then I want you to write a list. And trust me, I did this and it was not fun. I saw many things I had on my list that I wanted to do, that I said I would do, and I never did it. So if you write down that list of things you said you were going to do, maybe it's things that you've had on your list for months or even years. Reevaluate what's on that list. Ask yourself, do I want to recommit to this? If not, scratch it off, take it off. Because here's what happens. You start feeling negative about yourself. You start feeling a lot of shame. If you aren't going to recommit to it this year, take it off. Okay. And then I want you to take one of those things and I want you to interrupt this pattern this week in some way. Ask yourself, say, I told myself I would go to the gym twice a week, 3 times a week. Tomorrow I'm going. Don't wait till a Monday, right? So take one thing and shift. Transformation happens in 1-degree shifts. So ask yourself, what's one thing I can do this week to honor my truest desire, my big, highest self, her or his desire? Once you start following through on your own personal commitments, that's going to be reflected in your world. You're going to start to say, oh, I get to tell myself the truth and I get to follow through and not abandon myself. It's not going to change the external abandoning with other people right away, but that is going to help you heal this part of you who's not showing up for yourself and prioritizing everybody else. Because the things you say you'll do for other people, you do it, right? We know you do it. But what about you? Number 4, you must regulate your nervous system. I'm going to say this till I'm blue in the face. You have to first acknowledge that you have a nervous system and acknowledge that the people pleasing, self abandoning, and AKA fawning response is in the nervous system. You must get in touch with your nervous system. Check out my somatic tools down in the description box. You must just start getting in touch with your nervous system. Once you create safety in your body, so imagine you're having a conversation with someone and you feel unsafe to share your truth. The only way you can start feeling safer is in your nervous system. Once you're grounded and you feel safe within your nervous system, you are going to be able to speak your truth. Your voice might be trembling, but you'll be able to speak your truth. And you're going to be interrupting that pattern every time you speak your truth. It might happen after. You might come back to your partner or your friend and say, look, the other day when you asked me to do that, I said yes in the moment, but the truth is, it's a no for me. And here's why. And I'm sorry I didn't tell you then, but I need to honor my truth right now. And I need to honor this boundary for myself. And I need to say no. If they love you, they're not going to leave. They're going to honor the fact that you're telling yourself the truth. Now, that can only happen if you create safety in your body. Man, I feel like a broken record when it comes to nervous system stuff, but I coach many people and so many of us are walking around and we don't realize that your nervous system plays a huge part in your patterns in your life. And self-abandonment is a nervous system survival pattern. We just have to face that fact. Remember, healing abandonment wounds happens slowly. First with awareness, then small choices and nervous system work combined, you will heal this pattern and you will get to a more secure place. If you've never heard of attachment styles, by the time we're 18 months, we form an attachment with our caregivers. And that can either be a secure attachment, anxious attachment, avoidant attachment, or disorganized attachment. And that is in our nervous system. So in order to heal any of those and get to a more secure attachment, we have to go at it from the body and nervous system level. And that's why I'm here, because I think more of us need to know about this. More of us need to understand that we can't heal our trauma patterns, our trauma wounds from the level of the mind only. We need both. And when you combine both, with the resources that I'm helping you with here on this channel, you will heal these patterns and you'll get to a more secure place where you'll be like, you know what? I love myself. I accept myself the way I am. And if somebody doesn't accept my truth, they're not actually in alignment with me. I see you. I know this is challenging work, but I promise you, when you do this work and heal your nervous system and heal your patterns, you're going to free yourself up and you're going to get rid of the resentment and you're going to live a more peaceful life inside. So thank you so much for listening and watching this video. I'm so glad you're here. I'm honored to be on this journey with you, and I will see you in the next video.